Assalamualaikum. Hello there. My name is N, and in this video, we will continue diving into the depth of digital art by giving you 5 tips you should know when starting out, as well as show you a time lapse of drawing from start to finish so you can get the gist of how the workflows work. In this video, I'm using Mediban Paint Pro and a small Wacom Intuos drawing tablet. Without further ado, let's dive in. So, for the first tip, I would say is explore various workflow to find the best one that suit your style. As what I mean is, like in the previous video, we've been talking about sketching, line art, and coloring. During that process, you create an art piece, and that's called a workflow. So what I meant is like there are many ways to you can approach when making a single drawing. It could either mimic the way of traditional watercoloring, where you just use color straight away, use the watercolor brush, and act as if the canvas is an actual watercolor canvas. Or you can do it like mangakas and like goes for those thick lines without no coloring and whatnot. Next, we have learn the art fundamental. This is pretty much said by most people when they ask how to improve your art. Learning the art fundamental doesn't mean that you actually have to pack your bag, drop out from college, enter art school just for the sake of learning these fundamental. You can always learn them as a side, learn them online on YouTube. When it feels like you have like a lot cover the base of it and want to go further, then sure you can go and go to a paid class and actually learn from professionals. Because what these do, when you have the fundamentals, you actually get a grasp on how things work, how you can harmonize one thing with another. Next, we have utilize the software's features. The main difference between digital and also traditional is the software and is the tools that come with it. You have the transform tool, you have layers, you have blending style, you have all these things that you can use to actually manipulate your drawing from start to finish. Although like some people will say do not rely too much on the undo button, that is somewhat true. Like later on when you go back to drawing traditionally, you'll try to find those control and Z. But yeah, use the best of what you have in your software. Learn how you can mimic your picture using them. Then number 4, we have practice every day. Well, to be honest, you don't actually have to practice every day, but if you want to get better or get used to drawing, you draw every day. You set a target for yourself. You set a goal that you want to achieve and you work towards that goal. You draw every single day. Probably like every single day you start drawing a hand. Today one hand, another hand, and so on and so forth. Sure, you can take rest on certain days and continue. Just remember to enjoy yourself. Art is a form of escapism, not a form of stress. Then, last but not least, the 5th and final tip we have is always use reference. Whether you're drawing something that needs to follow the anatomy 100% or you're drawing something that is abstract, make sure you have some sort of reference. May let it be a cat, a building, or whatnot. Make sure you have a reference side by side or like with you at times. When it comes to like early part, sure you can trace to actually get the flow of steady hands, but do not claim it as your own. You can use reference, but you need to make sure you need to use them in the proper sense. And that is all the tips I have for today. Thank you for listening and happy arts.